want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Pain for their disease. Just like a weed.
I don't know if you guys got up or not, but I certainly did. I got up, and that right there is what makes me different from everyone else. That's what separates the good from the great from DJ Storms. Everyone knows that when I get up at 4:30 a.m., just at the right time for the pre-show match, you know exactly why I am considered the best right now to ever discuss pro wrestling in an analytical form. And as you can see, everyone knows what day it is by the sound of things, even though it's not our normally scheduled show. That doesn't change the fact that it's Saturday, and you know what that means. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. I am the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the channel on Rumble, on YouTube, or the stream on X and Facebook, wherever you may be watching it from. As, of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the Best Damn X, formerly known as Twitter handle, known to mankind. We are not going to waste any time. And you heard me correctly. I was up at 4:30 a.m. I did not go back and rewatch the replay. I watched it live. I had my notes with me, and I took down everything in great detail. And we're not going to waste any time going through the self-brand promotion, the advertisements, because guess what? I'm a little fucking tired right now. Especially considering that I just ate lunch. And when you get up that early and you start eating, getting some food in your system, it becomes rather hard to stay awake. But I promise you, I'm going to bring as much energy as I possibly can, because we're not only going to discuss the chamber, but we're also going to discuss some news, rumors, and reports that came out this week. As you already know, check me out on X and Instagram at HistoryMakerDJS. You can add me on my personal Facebook as well for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all those links are in the description, as well as the link to my Rumble, which we are live on right now. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, whether you're watching on my channel or the Hardcore Sports channel. And be sure to hit that notifications bell so that way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube, because you already know the drill. Whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. And I thank each and every single one of you who is choosing to spend your Saturday afternoons with me. This is not the Lightning Flash update. This is not your normally scheduled weekly show. Instead, this is the rewind for WWE Elimination Chamber 2024, which, of course, streamed live on the Peacock, that is. Get your mind out of the gutter, you fucking savages. Peacock, this morning, if you're on the East Coast, they went live at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 a.m. if you were on the West Coast. It was actually in the afternoon if you were across the country. And you were across the pond as well. Across the pond in the United Kingdom and in the Saudi Arabia region. the Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the Indian region. They were sitting nice and pretty over there. They got to sleep in, and they didn't have to waste any time. They ate lunch, and it was right on at 1. They're lucky. They're very, very lucky. But I did get up at 4:30 a.m. to watch the Elimination Chamber. I watched it live. We're going to go over everything in depth. Thank you all for coming on in and showing DJ Shizzle Dizzle some love. I greatly appreciate it. And we are going to continue a great year that we've been having for the DJ Storms brand. We're going to continue that momentum going into next week when we got the rundown for AEW Revolution 2024 with my good friend Renee, Jessica Renee, that is, from Colorado. Shout out to her. I was actually talking to her earlier today. She will be coming on my channel on Thursday, Leap Day, very special Leap Day stream, February 29th, 2024. This coming Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are going to preview and predict everything that's going down next Sunday, March 3rd. And then on Monday, it will be the rewind for AEW Revolution at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So be prepared, people. Be prepared, because we got another busy wrestling weekend coming up. Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber. Now, if you have a working brain like I do, which, by the way, it's not many people, because no one operates at the level of intelligence that I operate at. I'm just letting everyone know that. But the WWE, since the start of the year, minus the first week of the year, the WWE has not gone all in with this WrestleMania build. They have not done the proper things that they needed to do to get people invested, whether it be this nonsensical storyline between Roman Reigns, The Rock, and Cody Rhodes, this overly convoluted, complex bullshit, whether it be the just lack of urgency, the disappointing Royal Rumble, and it was disappointing. Please, do not try and give me any fucking excuses whatsoever. The Rumble was a disappointment. Triple H does not know how to book a Royal Rumble, no matter what you want to say. And then don't even get me started on this god-awful storyline between the Judgment Day and R-Truth. I don't give a fuck how funny R-Truth is. It is fucking garbage. It's absolute trash, and it should not be on television. Matter of fact, I've gone so far as to say that it is ruining the Judgment Day. And it has ruined the Judgment Day just slightly. Now, so many people are brainwashed that they're actually advocating for R-Truth and The Miz to beat the Judgment Day and win the tag team titles at WrestleMania. Are you on drugs? Are you on drugs? Are you on weed? Are you sipping too much of the bottle? Are you sipping too many Budweisers? What the fuck is going on with you? All people want to do is sit back and fucking pleasure themselves because The Rock turned heel. All this bullshit. The WWE build to WrestleMania 40 has been lackluster at best. And it's because of the simple fact, and I've stated this before, WWE, no matter who is in charge, Triple H, Nick Khan, Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, it doesn't matter. WWE was, is, and forever will be a lazy company. They're lazy. And that's a fact. The more money that flows into their pockets, the less and less and less that they give a shit about their TV product. And they're building WrestleMania on the fact that, hey, it's WrestleMania. People are going to watch anyway. People are going to get tickets anyway. The build towards WrestleMania has been very lackluster in many aspects. However, coming out of the disappointment of an event that was the Royal Rumble, I would say that Triple H, he redeemed himself. I will say that Triple H, he went into Perth. They went in there with a sense of urgency. Some matches may have been predictable, but with a solid crowd, they went in there with a sense of urgency. They went in there with a mindset to give every single match ample amount of time, and we got ourselves a very, very good Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Was it better than last year? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it was better than last year. I would say that last year was definitely the better of the two, under Triple H, that is. But as far as this year goes, I would say that this year's Elimination Chamber was a very good show. They paced it well. The match order, for the most part, was correct outside of the main event. They should have swapped the last two matches. They should have swapped the last two matches. But we got a clear view of where we're going for WrestleMania, and we even got a little bit of a swerve, which we'll talk about when we get to the Grayson Waller effect. But overall, the Elimination Chamber event was a very good show. And it was a show worth getting up at 5 a.m. for. From the start to the finish, they did what they needed to do. All of the outcomes to the matches were correct. And we did get WrestleMania's card being shuffled around a little bit. WWE going in a little bit more of an unpredictable route. Now, I'm not sure how wise that is, but we'll talk about that when we get to the outcomes of some of these matches. But before we get into the outcomes of some of these matches, I want to talk about a couple of news, rumors, and reports that we got going on. Let's start with Wrestling Observer Newsletter. Dave Meltzer has not really had a good week when it comes to reporting news. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if his old age is catching up with him, but his credibility is really taking a hit. He wasn't always that credible, but this week specifically, his credibility has really taken a hit. Wrestling Observer Newsletter. They reported that two sources close to the negotiations and one who is involved told the newsletter that a group led by Scott D'Amore offered $10 million to purchase the TNA brand. $10 million plus, assuming all existing debts the company had, as well as the trade debts. Now, I'm assuming the reason why this happened is because Scott D'Amore knows that Anthem is not going to take TNA in the right direction. Scott D'Amore probably wants to take TNA elsewhere, away from Anthem. He wants to find a place where they will offer TNA a bigger budget. Because Scott D'Amore, he wanted to rebuild TNA from the ground up. He wanted to really make them a solid number 3 promotion. Scott D'Amore has always been a great asset to TNA. Many people could argue that he was the heart and soul of TNA. So it does not surprise me that he would make an offer of $10 million to purchase TNA. Because he had a plan to make TNA a de facto number 3 promotion. He probably knows that Anthem does not care about TNA at its core. Anthem could not give a shit whether TNA succeeds or fails. They just want TNA for the simple fact that they have a wrestling promotion under their brand. They do not want it to grow past a certain point. And the fact that Scott D'Amore knows that Anthem does not have the best intentions for TNA, it does not shock me that he wants to purchase it. Maybe that's what all of these wrestlers tweeting out an hourglass meant. Is Scott D'Amore coming back, or is Scott D'Amore completely purchasing TNA? I don't know. I have not heard anything, but I'm going to keep my eye on this because Scott D'Amore purchasing TNA would definitely help the brand. Moving on here, I got a report regarding TNA Wrestling. Again, I got a couple reports regarding TNA Wrestling. TNA Wrestling actually recently extended Josh Alexander's contract with the company. Fightful reported that Alexander actually asked not to extend his contract because he wanted to survey the landscape, but they extended his contract anyway. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with Scott D'Amore's departure, but TNA Wrestling, the fact that they extended Josh Alexander's contract, it seems as though TNA is trying to make sure people don't walk out on them. Now, Josh Alexander, he's a very loyal guy, so I wouldn't expect Josh Alexander to walk out on anyone like that, but I'm just throwing it out there. That's not really a good look on Anthem's part. Not really a good look on Anthem's part. The whole reason why Josh Alexander stayed with TNA, at least in my eyes, was because of Scott D'Amore. He loved the environment that Scott D'Amore built backstage at TNA. And the fact that Scott D'Amore is now gone, the fact that he's gone, that right there really, it really put a nail in TNA's air balloon, so to speak. It punctured a hole through TNA's hot air balloon, and it really didn't sit well with the talent. And why would it? If Scott D'Amore was as valuable of a player as he was from that backstage perspective as the president of TNA, why would you even entertain the idea of firing him? Just because he wanted a bigger budget? It really goes to show you that Anthem does not care about TNA whatsoever. And the fact that Josh Alexander got his contract extended when they told him not to, he told them not to. I don't know. I don't think that Josh Alexander is going to be sticking around with TNA after his contract is up. Unless in some way, shape, or form, Scott D'Amore is able to find his way back into a position of power. But if anything, if I'm Tony Khan, I would actually pick up Scott D'Amore. I'm not sure if Tony Khan has that in mind, but Tony Khan picking up Scott D'Amore and Scott D'Amore being the lead creative writer of Ring of Honor, that could very well bring other people over from TNA to AEW TV, and we could potentially see a resurgence on the Ring of Honor side of things. Because right now, Ring of Honor side of things, it's just AEW Dark 2.0. Do we get some great matches and some great stories over there from time to time? Sure. Sure, we do. But at its core, Ring of Honor does not have any heat behind it right now. Though I'm sure that Supercard of Honor is going to be a very fun show. Speaking of AEW side of the fence, let's talk about Hangman Adam Page for a minute. Hangman Adam Page actually had an ankle injury scare in which Dave Meltzer reported that Hangman may have suffered an ankle injury and he may very well have to miss Revolution. Now, Fightful came out and they stated that Hangman's ankle injury on Wednesday's Dynamite was actually a work. He was walking just fine when he got to the backstage area, which I'm actually very happy about because that I was genuinely concerned about. I was trying not to think about it too much and wait for the reports to come out, but I was very, and I mean very, 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 very fearful that Hangman Adam Page was legitimately injured. Thankfully, he wasn't. This, however, this work may very well have been a cover-up. It may have been a work to cover up some personal issues that could result in Hangman missing AEW Revolution. Now, I do not know the validity of this. And as we recently just discussed, Dave Meltzer's credibility has taken a little bit of a hit. Dave Meltzer's credibility is not at an all-time high whatsoever. Dave Meltzer almost seems like he's losing his mind a little bit. And that's coming from a guy that actually likes Dave Meltzer. I'm not subscribed to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. I don't listen to his podcast whatsoever. But I do respect the analytical prowess that he brings to the table. But as far as Hangman missing Revolution, I don't know how valid that is. But if Hangman really is set to miss Revolution, again, don't know how valid it is because Dave Meltzer is not all that credible. Even though I like him, he's not all that credible. But if Hangman has to miss Revolution, that is going to suck. That's going to suck because I have been preaching for a while now that Hangman should be winning the World Championship. We're entering into a new chapter with the Hangman Swerve storyline. Hangman's no longer the hero. He has an obsession to keep Swerve away from the World Championship. Swerve's popularity is at an all-time high. Hangman, realistically, winning the world title at Revolution would be the best route to go, along with Hangman holding that title hostage, keeping it away from Swerve until we get to Wembley. Swerve beats Hangman at Wembley, and then Hangman goes on a complete rampage as a psychopath. But now we might not get that. Whatever personal issue it is, I hope Hangman's going to be okay, but him missing Revolution would be a major blow. Moving on here. Chris Jericho. Fightful Select reported the following. Following his match with Konosuke Takeshita on the February 7th episode of AEW Dynamite, Chris Jericho is taking a couple of weeks off of AEW TV. This coincides with him being overseas to tour with Fozzy. I actually think that this is a good thing. This is a good thing because as we speak right now, I don't want to disrespect Jericho. I think Jericho is phenomenal at what he does. He's one of the greatest of all time, and he's a very valuable asset to AEW TV. He makes AEW TV better. However, as we speak right now, the feud with the Don Callis family is kind of run its course. The feud with the Don Callis family has kind of run its course, and I think a lot of people are really just ready to move on from Jericho and the Don Callis family as of right now. I don't think that people are too fond of what is going on with Chris Jericho and the Don Callis family. Not to say that the matches have been bad. The match with Kyle Fletcher, very good. Great performance by Kyle Fletcher. The match with Takeshita, that was the best Chris Jericho match since his match with Will Ospreay at All In last year. The match with Takeshita was awesome. However, that doesn't mean that Chris Jericho and the Don Callis family needs to continue feuding going forward. So the fact that Jericho's taking a little bit of a break, that is going to help. That is going to help really help the Don Callis family break out and do some other shit. Powerhouse Hobbs has got Guevara. Tonight, which I'm very much looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. That's a no DQ match. It gives Powerhouse Hobbs a nice win. Sammy could take a loss. That'll be fine. But as of right now, I think giving the program with Jericho and the Don Callis family a little bit of a break, that would help them. Because right now, Jericho and the Don Callis family, it's not exactly lighting the world on fire. I got another report regarding TNA. Fightful again with another report. Stated that Steve Maclin's TNA deal is coming up this year. However, no further details have been disclosed. I think Steve Maclin's great, although I'm really not sure where else he would go. Listen, I don't want to be disrespectful to Steve Maclin whatsoever because I've seen the work that he's put in to really make himself a staple on TNA Wrestling, Impact, whatever you want to call it. But as we speak right now, Steve Maclin just does not feel like he's above TNA. You could sense a vibe around people, whether or not they're above TNA or they're not. Or you could sense whether an individual is ready to break through to that next level or they're not. Steve Maclin does not feel, he's never felt like he was anything more than a tag team wrestler in WWE. And in TNA, that's a great place for him. But in terms of feeling that he's above TNA, I'm sorry, I can't sit here and say that he's above TNA. Moose is above TNA. The Motor City Machine Guns are above TNA. Jordan Grace is above TNA. Josh Alexander is above TNA. Nick Nemeth is above TNA. Steve Maclin, I'm sorry. Steve Maclin, he just does not speak to me, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't speak to anyone else as being above TNA. Not to be disrespectful to him. He's just not a big league player. At least he doesn't come off that way. Maybe if I watch him a little bit more, maybe I will have a different opinion there. But when it comes down to Steve Maclin, I'm sorry. Steve Maclin just is not a major league player. I have all the respect in the world for him, but he does not give off the vibes of being a major league player. TNA is his ceiling. Where's he going to go on WWE TV? Where's he going to go on AEW TV? He will go nowhere. This one's pretty unfortunate. Now, this one, I actually do believe. This report from Meltzer, I actually believe because no one's debunked it. According to a report by Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Nikita Lyons is sidelined again with another injury. Let me tell you, whatever's going around right now, this really fucking sucks. It really does. The injury bug has seemed to have reared its ugly head again. I don't think I've seen this bad of an injury period since WWE's injury period at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. I remember Nikki Bella, she was out getting neck surgery, and Cena was out, and Rollins was out with a torn ACL, and Claudio Castagnoli was out with a shoulder. Nikita Lyons being out now, that just adds to the list of injuries. Nikita's out. Seth Rollins had a minor knee injury. He's just getting cleared. MJF tore his labrum. CM Punk tore his tricep. You had Shotzi, who just tore her ACL. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's a very unfortunate time period. Even though we have a lot of fun stuff going on in many aspects of pro wrestling, the injury bug, it really puts a damper on things. And I really do hope that this injury bug goes away soon. Drew McIntyre. Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that Drew McIntyre hasn't signed a new WWE deal yet. However, he has strongly suggested that he is indeed staying. There were some advertisements for a couple of shows, house shows, following WrestleMania season. He is set to be at a few house shows in May, which is 1 month after his contract reportedly is up. If Drew McIntyre stays, this heel run of his is going to be very, very fun. I do believe that this heel run with Drew McIntyre is going to be extremely fun. It's going to be extremely, extremely entertaining. It already is. They're doing a very good job with Drew McIntyre's heel run. But as we speak, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told you before. I just feel like Drew's done everything in WWE. And after this heel run, what value is Drew McIntyre really going to have? He's going to be in the same exact position as he was in before. He's just going to be putting everybody else over. There's still a part of me that really wishes that Drew McIntyre would go. Because Drew McIntyre leaving the WWE, I'm telling you, Drew McIntyre leaving the WWE would really open up a whole new world of options that would really set the wrestling world on fire. But if Drew McIntyre is deciding to stay, it's his choice. His choice, no problem, good for him. And then finally, as we saw in the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view earlier this morning, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, they are now going by the name New Catch Republic. WWE currently filed for the trademark New Catch Republic, which is apparently the new team name for Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, which is fucking terrible. I really don't understand why you can't just call them British Strong Style. Is it copyrighted? I'll let you know something right here. They can still be British Strong Style without Trent Seven. I'm just letting you all know that. But that's all I got as far as the news, rumors, and reports go. Why don't we get straight into the weekly show, or excuse me, not weekly show reviews, the Rewind for the Chamber. The Chamber started at 4 a.m. The pre-show started at 4 a.m. Eastern Time. The matches didn't actually start until 4:30, or excuse me, 4:40, around 4:40. We had a pre-show. The pre-show saw Candice LeRae and hometown girl Indy Hartwell. They took on the Kabuki Warriors for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Indy and Candice, they had the upper hand. Kyrie then knocked LeRae off of the top. Kabuki Warriors isolated Candice. Nice German suplex. Flying top rope forearm by Kyrie. That got a 2 count. LeRae tried to fight back. She tagged in Indy. Indy lit up the Kabuki Warriors. We had a spine buster on Asuka. Spine buster on Kyrie onto Asuka. That got a 2 count. Tag back to LeRae. We had a full Nelson fall away slam by Miss Indy Hartwell, and then a lion salt by LeRae. That got a 2 count. Asuka, then with a flurry of offense, before Indy tagged Candice back into the match. Kairi then took out Indy, sending her right into the post. And then the Kabuki Warriors hit the reverse DDT, insane elbow combination, and the Kabuki Warriors retain the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. It's the same old song and dance. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit about the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. And to be quite honest with you, it's actually quite pathetic that you can find a place for Indy Hartwell on the show. Indy Hartwell, who, by the way, isn't even ready for main roster TV. Indy Hartwell is not that good of a pro wrestler. But you can't find a spot for Bronson Reed. And no, I'm just letting y'all know this. Just because Bronson Reed's wife had a baby doesn't mean that Bronson Reed was null and void from competing on the show. You could have easily have given the opportunity to Bronson Reed to be on the show in some way, shape, or form. You could have given him a pre-show match. If you wanted to give him something, you could have given him a match with Sami Zayn. Given him a match with Sami Zayn and continue Sami Zayn's losing streak. Tell the story of Sami Zayn becoming frustrated and motivated to finally get a win, so much so that he challenged Bronson Reed in his home country and failed. You could have done that. But what the fuck do I know? Nobody cares. Literally, nobody cares about the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. You know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking during this match? The entire time that the WWE Women's Tag Team title match was going on during the Elimination Chamber pre-show, I felt so fucking bad for Candice LeRae. How is it that this is the best that you have for Candice LeRae, fighting over a meaningless set of championships? Why are they still around? Why have they not been retired? There are some things that are just not worth it. Triple H needs to swallow his pride and understand that the women's tag team titles are not worth it. But Candice LeRae, after the matches that she delivered in NXT, especially the ones with Io Sky, the fact that they have her ball and chained into this tag team with Indy Hartwell, who isn't even in the same stratosphere as Candice LeRae, and you are not building up Candice LeRae as an underdog babyface to potentially challenge an Io Sky, a Bayley, a Rhea Ripley for some sort of women's world title, that is incredibly criminal unto itself. It is unbelievably terrible. Kabuki Warriors retain. They were not going to lose. Let's be honest here. They weren't going to lose. Main show. So they didn't start off on the right foot. The pre-show match kind of put a damper on things. They did not start off on the right foot. However, when the main show hit, this is where things started to get a little bit more interesting. So the main show kicked off with the Women's Chamber. It was Bianca Belair, Raquel Rodriguez, Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, Naomi, and Tiffany Stratton. This was an Elimination Chamber match to see who would fight the Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. So, Naomi and Becky started off the match. Nothing too crazy here. Pretty standard, pretty straightforward women's pro wrestling match. Naomi then drove Becky into the steel, face first, and then delivered a split-legged leg drop off of the chamber wall, which looked very nice. We had a double crossbody off the pod by Naomi. First pod opened, and it was Tiffany Stratton. Crowd was actually loving Tiffany Stratton. Crowd was really, really into Tiffany Stratton, and she was the odds-on favorite here. And the fact that she was the odds-on favorite, I really hope that they have something big planned for her at WrestleMania, whether it be Naomi, whether it be Bianca, whatever. Tiffany is great, and this was another great first step towards the rehabilitation process for Tiffany Stratton after being buried at the hands of Becky last fall. So, Becky and Naomi were at the mercy of Stratton. A double stomp, spinebuster on Becky for a 2 count, double crossbody by Naomi on both women. Stratton then dropped both women. Stratton was then caught with a side Russian leg sweep off of the middle rope. We had a split-legged leg drop by Naomi on both women for a 2. Split-legged moonsault by Naomi on Becky. The next pod opened. It was Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, she sent Stratton into the pods over and over and over again. So Stratton was taking some bumps here. Naomi then climbed the chamber. Becky hit a Bexploder to Stratton onto the Elimination Chamber wall. We had a stomp by Tiffany Stratton, and then we had Naomi coming in with a blockbuster off of the pod onto Liv Morgan off of the middle rope. Stratton saw this. She took advantage, and she delivered a really, really, really tight pinfall, tight roll-up by Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany Stratton ended up getting a pinfall, and she ended up beating Naomi. So it looks like Naomi could very well be one of the individuals that Tiffany Stratton could be penciled in against at WrestleMania. I wouldn't mind it. So Stratton eliminated Naomi. Naomi was gone fairly early. I'm shocked that they got her out that early. So we then had Raquel Rodriguez coming in. She had a spinning side slam on Stratton for a 2. Becky was then driven into the chain. Raquel then slung Tiffany into the chain. Becky and Liv with a double DDT on Raquel. In came Bianca Belair last, and Bianca and Tiffany, they went at each other. I actually hope that it's Bianca and Tiffany at the WrestleMania event, because Bianca and Tiffany, that's the better match. Not to take anything away from Naomi, but Bianca and Tiffany, easily the better match. So Bianca delivered a vertical suplex on Becky. Raquel had Bianca in a suplex position. Bianca then bounced off the ropes and turned it into a tornado DDT on the floor, which looked great. Raquel was then laid out on the top buckle. Stratton moved. Liv Morgan then with a diving senton while Raquel was across the buckle. And I'm telling you, if Liv Morgan didn't do that right, I'm telling you, she could have cracked a rib on Raquel. So Raquel was draped out like this, and Liv Morgan with a seated senton comes down with her ass right into Raquel's abdomen, which looked very, very nasty. Becky and then Tiffany were up on top of the pod. Becky was then shoved off of the pod onto Raquel, and then Tiffany Stratton with perhaps the best spot of the night. Tiffany Stratton with a swanton bomb onto the rest of the women off of the pod, which looked awesome. Morgan then hit Oblivion off of the middle rope, and Liv Morgan eliminated Tiffany Stratton. Very well done there. So the crowd was not too happy. The crowd was actually chanting bullshit. We had a power bomb by Raquel in the ring. Raquel then was caught into an armbar by Becky. Raquel then delivered a double Tahana bomb to Liv and Becky. Bianca Belair then came in, delivered a KOD on Raquel, and Raquel was gone. We were down to 3. And these 3 women actually had a nice back and forth. So Belair with a double handspring on both women for a 2 count. Belair then slung Liv into the chain. Morgan then sent Belair into the pod. Becky then with a standard and a reverse DDT combo on both women on the floor. So Becky was in control before Morgan came back, and she delivered a sunset flip powerbomb to Bianca for a 2 count. Becky with a missile drop kick on Liv. Liv and Becky were then up on the middle rope, and Liv Morgan delivered a superplex to Becky. Bianca then followed up with a 450, but Becky got the knees up. Becky, still a little dazed. Morgan then countered the KOD into a jawbreaker. She then delivered a code breaker on Becky and rolled up Bianca to eliminate her. So Bianca was gone, and then almost immediately after Bianca was gone, Becky wasted no time, immediately hit a manhandle slam, and Becky Lynch gets the win, pins Liv Morgan because Liv Morgan was not quick enough to react, and Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania to fight for the Women's World Championship. This started out a little slow, as per usual. You're not gonna go crazy right out of the gate. But this was easily the best women's elimination chamber match that they've ever produced. Hands down, the best women's elimination chamber match. Everyone showed up to work. Everyone did exactly what they needed to do. And the two breakout stars in this match were Tiffany Stratton, obviously, like I knew she would, and Liv Morgan. Tiffany Stratton, I had a feeling she was going to have a breakout performance because Tiffany Stratton, she's not afraid to go in there, get her hands dirty. She's not afraid to go out there, fly around, and take some bumps. Tiffany Stratton is an individual that may look like your standard white girl, your standard prim, proper, and perfect lady that doesn't really want to get into anything physical. But when that bell rings, Tiffany Stratton she's a women's pro wrestler. That's what I look at when I look at Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is a women's wrestler, and she did great in this match. And then Liv Morgan. I said that Liv Morgan was not up to code. I said that Liv Morgan was not a WrestleMania main event talent. She still isn't. She still isn't. This was the right outcome. Becky was always the right outcome, and I'll tell you why. Becky was the right outcome because, like I said, Liv Morgan's not a main event talent, at least not yet. I think that what she did here was a great first step towards breaking through to that next level. But the thing is, Liv Morgan seems to be stuck in a stationary position. That's my only issue with Liv Morgan. In terms of her in-ring work, she just seems to be stuck in a stationary position. But this match was a very, very, very big step towards getting to that next level for Liv Morgan. But Becky was always the right individual to win because we have not seen a proper Becky versus Rhea match, and we're going to get that. We're going to get that at WrestleMania. It gives Rhea Ripley another big victory at WrestleMania, gives her another big win, and not only that, Rhea Ripley now being the most dominant female that we've seen on the WWE main roster in quite some time, that right there is going to make Liv Morgan's chase even better. Now their job is to build up Liv Morgan to fight Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. You give us Liv and Rhea at SummerSlam, and then Liv can beat Rhea at SummerSlam. WrestleMania is not the time for that. Liv Morgan is not at that level. But at SummerSlam, that's just fine. That's just fine. That's the next best pay-per-view underneath WrestleMania. So if Liv Morgan is ultimately going to take that title off of Rhea, like a lot of people are predicting, including myself, SummerSlam's the date. Becky and Rhea is the match. Rhea beats Becky at WrestleMania, hands down. Easily the best women's chamber match in years. And if anything, if you were to tell me that this match was actually better than the men's chamber, you know what? I wouldn't look at you weird. I wouldn't look at you weird at all. I actually really enjoyed the women's chamber. And if you were to tell me that you liked it better than the men's chamber, I would not look at you with a weird face. We had the Judgment Day. This is Damian Priest and Finn Balor versus the New Catch Republic of Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. This is for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. I was really looking forward to this match, and I'm glad that they put this match on the show because it really goes to show you how tag team wrestling in WWE has really gone under a renaissance. And that's exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for a renaissance. I was looking for a rejuvenation of tag team wrestling, and this is exactly what we needed. Not only that, this was the Judgment Day that we needed. The Judgment Day has been involved in this shitty-ass storyline with R-Truth ever since Survivor Series ended. This has been going on for 3 months. 3 months, and it has been a complete disaster in every sense of the word. It has ruined the Judgment Day in more ways than one. Matter of fact, I don't even understand why R-Truth is even still associated with the Judgment Day after they beat his ass multiple times. But as far as the Judgment Day go in this match, this is exactly the Judgment Day that we needed. Not fiddling around with R-Truth, not trying to pick up money because R-Truth is selling their merch, not going forth with who's in the Judgment Day, who's not in the Judgment Day angles, not having JD McDonough constantly job to the Miz and R-Truth. This was the serious, determined Judgment Day that we need on TV, treating the tag team titles like they're important and putting on banger matches. This is the Judgment Day that we need going forward. End of story, period. Serious Judgment Day. No comedy act Judgment Day. Serious, straightforward, determined Judgment Day that's going to go in there, kick your ass, and have a great match while doing so. That is what the Judgment Day should be. And that's exactly what we got. That's exactly what we got. And I mean, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Need I say more about Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne? Need I say more? Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, I mean, they're fucking fantastic. They've been fantastic ever since their first match at the inaugural NXT United Kingdom Championship Tournament match all the way back in 2017. I remember that match. That was a fantastic match. Tyler Bate was just 19 at the time. That right there, that was the Pete Dunne and the Tyler Bate that we needed. And that was the Pete Dunne and the Tyler Bate that we got. This was a great match. It may have been a little predictable, but there were some cases where I actually thought that the New Catch Republic were going to win. And matter of fact, if they were to have given Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne the tag team titles, I would not have been angry. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I knew that it wasn't going to happen. Don't get me wrong. I knew it wasn't going to happen. But I am not sitting here and complaining that it didn't happen. I have zero problem with the fact that the New Catch Republic did not win the tag team titles. And you know what? I would be completely okay if they were to have won the tag team titles. Because both these teams are great. But Judgment Day winning, that was the best outcome because the Judgment Day should be fighting DIY at WrestleMania, with DIY inevitably winning the championships. So Dominic Mysterio, he tried to take the mic and talk to no avail. Crowd booed. So the match went underway, and immediately, no wasted motion, they went out of the gate hot. So Damian Priest hit a big forearm to Tyler Bate as the crowd in Perth chanted, "Dom is a wanker." So Dominic Mysterio, he was subjected to "Dom is a wanker" chants from the Australian crowd. So Bate was isolated before he came in with a flying uppercut. We had a tag to Pete Dunne. He lit up Balor. We had an enziguri on Balor. Nice shining wizard and a moonsault from the middle rope onto Priest and Balor. Double tag team lariat German suplex by Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. That got a 2 count. Bate was then caught with a roundhouse kick. We had a big lariat by Priest for a 2 count. Balor and Priest then with a reverse DDT sidewalk slam combo. That got a 2. Bate then with a modified version of the Deep Six, which looked awesome. Bate with the airplane spin on Damian Priest. Round and round and round we go. Bate then dove onto Priest. We had a bitter end by Pete Dunne. They were going to win, but Dom put Balor's foot underneath the bottom rope. Bate then called him out, and the referee ejected Dominic Mysterio. Balor then took advantage with a sling blade on Pete Dunne and a shotgun dropkick. Balor went up for the coup de grace, but he missed. Dunne snapped his fingers, snapped them. Dunne and Bate then with the double Tyler driver. I actually thought that this was where they were going to win right here. But Tyler Bate was then pulled out of the ring by Damian Priest. Priest then with a flatliner to Dunne on the apron. Bate was then caught with a reverse 1916 by Balor. Bate kicked out. Bate then sent Priest into Balor. Tagged to Dunne. This was where I thought they were going to win. Double Burning Hammer. 1, 2. Damian Priest kicked out again. Great near fall right there. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome. This is awesome." Bate and Dunne, they were up top. Priest then took advantage, and one slip-up cost him. Priest goozled both of them. Double South of Heaven choke slams from the middle rope. Tag to Balor, coup de grace on Pete Dunne. 1, 2, 3, Judgment Day retains. the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, as we got a great match, a great performance by all four men, and it was more than worthy of being on a WWE PLE. Bate and Dunn, they benefited from having a showcase like this, and I really do hope that they continue to push tag team wrestling on the main roster, because we've seen some great tag team matches in recent weeks. We actually saw a very solid tag team match on Friday Night SmackDown last night with the Authors of Pain and the Street Profits. So I'm looking for more. I'm looking for more of this. Keep this up. This went nearly 18 minutes, and it served its purpose. Great match, and if anything, this was probably my favorite match on the overall show that wasn't an Elimination Chamber match. Grayson Waller effect with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. So Austin Theory kicked off the show. He shit on Vegemite. I've never tried Vegemite, and I will never try Vegemite. So any Aussies out there, do not give me Vegemite. So Austin Theory introduced Grayson Waller. Cody did his usual shtick, and then Seth Rollins did his shtick. You know, the whoa, and then the Cody song, Adrenaline in my soul. Oh! So Cody then said, what do you want to talk about? Waller said, acknowledge our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. So Rollins then gave us a scoop, and he said that he is days away from being medically cleared, which is very, very, very good to hear, because Seth Rollins and that injury scare that we had a couple of weeks back in January, that right there was incredibly, and I mean incredibly frightening. So I'm glad that he's going to be cleared. So we had Rollins telling us that he's medically cleared in just a couple of days. Very nice to hear. Waller then ragged on Cody for taking away Rock versus Roman. Let me tell you something, Waller. That never happened. Cody won the Rumble. He gets first dibs. He didn't take anything away. I understand that Waller is a heel, but he's a fucking retard as well. Cody, he then ragged on The Rock's stupid catchphrases. He then said, are there any Cody crybabies here tonight? Crowd popped. Rollins then said, Rock was the people's champion, but in order to be the people's champion, you actually have to be around the people. Cody then said that he had an announcement. Rock, you slapped me in the face. Rock, I am wide open. I want to wrestle you one-on-one anytime, any place. The crowd was then chanting, now, now, now. Seth then said, it's time that we cut the head off the snake. He said there is no such thing as one-on-one when you're fighting the bloodline, so you don't have to fight this battle alone. Theory then butted in. He started doing The Rock's catchphrases. Rollins then egged him on before he tossed Theory into a stand-up, and then Waller watched it happen. And then we got a stomp to Theory. Theory, by the way, Theory sold the shit out of this stomp. Theory sold the ever-living shit out of this stomp. Waller just let it happen. I actually hope that this doesn't mean that they're breaking Waller and Theory up, because they're great together. But that was pretty much that. Now, talk shows on pay-per-view suck. However, we did get something of substance. We did get one little thing that may very well alter the rumored plans and may very well change up WrestleMania season altogether. I don't know what is going on, but it seems as though the rumored tag team match of Rollins, Cody, Rock, and Roman might not happen, because Cody Rhodes challenged The Rock at WrestleMania. Not necessarily at WrestleMania. He challenged him to a one-on-one match. What do you think that's going to happen? If it was going to happen somewhere, it could have happened in Perth, Australia, but that's not going to happen. Are they really going to have Cody wrestle on night one and then wrestle on night two? Is he going to lose to The Rock, go through more adversity only to fight Roman Reigns and beat Roman on night 2? How exactly are they going to do that? Now, we could still get the tag team match, but it seems as though they're really starting to shuffle WrestleMania around. Cody Rhodes never mentioned anything about a tag team match, nor did Rollins mention anything about a tag team match. We could still get it, but Cody Rhodes challenged The Rock one-on-one. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to work that out. Either way, that was that. That was probably the second worst thing on the show. The first worst thing on the show was the women's tag team title match on the pre-show. But we did get something of substance. Cody Rhodes wants The Rock. Could we see Cody main event both nights of WrestleMania back-to-back? Now, that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair whatsoever. Rollins and McIntyre deserve a main event at WrestleMania. Randy Orton, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre as well. Bobby Lashley, Logan Paul, and Kevin Owens. Elimination Chamber match to see who fights the World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 40. I thought this was a very good chamber. Not better than last year's men's chamber. Last year's men's chamber for the United States title, that was one of the best chamber matches in the history of the chamber. This year's was good. This year's was good. It was very good. Not great. Not great at all. But it served its purpose, and we did get a lot of story. We did get a lot of story going into WrestleMania, and this match alone, I will give WWE credit here. This match alone, it gave us 3 matches. 3 matches we can depict. 3 matches that will happen at WrestleMania just from this one chamber match. So it was Drew McIntyre and LA Knight that started off the match, picking up right where they left off. Knight then busted Drew's head into the pod. In came Kevin Owens. He was the first pod to open. He delivered a choke slam and a senton on LA Knight for a 2. We had a frog splash on Drew McIntyre. That got a 2 count. Owens with a code breaker for a 2. Drew then with a crossbody off of the top onto Knight and Owens. Next pod opened. It was Bobby Lashley. We had a hurt lock by Lashley, but Drew broke it up. Lashley then with a spine buster in the ring for a 2 count. The next pod opened. It was Randy Orton. Things then began to pick up. Randy Orton delivered a nice power slam, draping DDT on the floor to Kevin Owens. Lashley then with a spear to LA Knight. DDT to Drew McIntyre on the floor. The final pod opened. It ended up being Logan Paul. He tried to fight back against Kevin Owens because Owens went right after him. He was the last one to enter, and Owens went right to the pod, and he started fighting Logan Paul inside of the pod, bouncing him off of all the sides of glass. Paul was then driven through the pod on the other side. We had a big lariat by Owens. Lashley then drove Owens through the pod, and then he speared Logan Paul through the pod. Crowd was chanting, "Holy shit." That was a nice spot right there. That was probably my second favorite spot of the night. We had Bobby Lashley on the outside. Drew McIntyre delivered a Claymore to Lashley on the floor. Then he delivered a Claymore to Lashley in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Lashley was gone, as expected. All of a sudden, LA Knight, then with a superplex on Drew McIntyre. He had a BFT on Orton, and then a BFT on Drew. Styles then came in with a steel chair, and he attacked LA Knight. Styles then delivered a Styles Clash on the steel chair. Drew then covered, and LA Knight was gone. Now, AJ Styles cost LA Knight inside the Elimination Chamber. More likely than not, that means we're getting AJ Styles and LA Knight at WrestleMania. Now, is it a big-time match? Sure, it's a big-time match. Is it going to aid LA Knight? Maybe. It gives AJ Styles something to do as well. But if I'm going to be quite honest here, is this really the best possible spot for LA Knight? I find it very, very odd that you are not going forth with giving LA Knight a championship. I find it very odd that you did not have LA Knight or Logan Paul factor into each other's eliminations. LA Knight realistically should have already been the United States champion. He should be the US champion going into WrestleMania. But instead you're having Logan Paul go after Orton. Listen, they're making things unpredictable, and I think both of those matches are going to be great, but I don't think it's the best idea to not give LA Knight a title at WrestleMania because as we speak, LA Knight does not feel the same. I understand that it may not sit well with some people, but LA Knight, as we speak, he does not feel the same as he once did. Something changed. Ever since that loss to Roman Reigns back at Crown Jewel, LA Knight has not felt as hot as he once did. I am sorry. The crowd reaction is a little bit quieter. The vibe around LA Knight just feels a little bit off. LA Knight, as we speak right now, he just feels directionless. And I keep on saying it. It all could have been avoided. It all could have been avoided if you would have just given LA Knight the United States Championship last year at WrestleMania. That would have been the best time to do it. Not even at WrestleMania last year. Last year at SummerSlam, excuse me. LA Knight, Austin Theory should have been the match at SummerSlam, not a meaningless Slim Jim Battle Royale. Now we're going to have Logan Paul and Randy Orton. Is that going to be a good match? Sure, it could be a good match. But I don't think that LA Knight being in a match with AJ Styles would benefit him as much as if he were in a match with Logan Paul and he won the US title, if you know what I'm saying. Unless, again, I don't know what their mentality is. Unless Logan Paul is now full-time with WWE. Because in recent weeks, I mean, Logan Paul's been appearing a lot more frequently on WWE TV. I think he's appeared almost every single week on WWE TV since the start of the year. And if that's the case, maybe we see LA Knight, Logan Paul at Backlash in France. Maybe Logan Paul travels to France and we get a big moment in front of an international crowd where LA Knight beats Logan Paul in front of the people in France. I don't know. I honest to God don't know how they're going to go about things. But AJ Styles and LA Knight, is it a WrestleMania-worthy match? Absolutely. Is it as beneficial as LA Knight and Logan Paul? No. And whether you want to admit it or not, LA Knight does not feel as hot as he once did. They fucked up. They should have never, ever put LA Knight against Roman Reigns back at Crown Jewel. LA Knight should have won the United States Championship from Austin Theory at SummerSlam, and Styles should have been the match at Crown Jewel. You still could have gotten the heel turn with AJ Styles. You still could have gotten some sort of a multi-man match with Orton, Styles, and Roman Reigns, and maybe someone else. Maybe you could have thrown Kevin Owens in there as well. Or if you wanted to, you could have thrown Logan Paul in there as well. You could have still gotten some form of a multi-man match at the Royal Rumble, and LA Knight would have been protected. He would have been hot, and he would have been doing his thing with the United States Championship. But they didn't do that. So, Drew McIntyre covered LA Knight. LA Knight was gone. We had Kevin Owens picking up the pace here. Kevin Owens then with a cannonball on Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Swanton bomb on Orton for a 2. Swanton bomb on Drew. Drew then got the knees up. Pop-up powerbomb by Owens on Drew. Stunner on Logan Paul. Randy Orton came in. RKO out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. And Kevin Owens is gone. I find it very odd that they didn't even have Kevin Owens and Logan Paul factor into each other's eliminations. Because I could have picked out a much better match for Randy Orton than Logan Paul. So, we were down to Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, they went at it a little bit. Logan Paul then with a crossbody off the top of the pod onto Drew. Paul then pulled out the brass knuckles, but he took too much time. Randy Orton delivered an RKO to him. 1, 2, 3, Logan Paul was gone. It was down to Drew and Orton. Drew, he went for the Claymore, but Randy Orton would not get up. Randy Orton was selling his back. Drew then chuckled. Drew then went to going for the kill on Orton. Orton with an RKO out of nowhere. All of a sudden, Logan Paul, who didn't leave the match yet, brass knuckles right to the face. Randy Orton was knocked out. Drew McIntyre covered. 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre wins the match. Very good chamber match. It set up 3 separate matches for WrestleMania. Not one of the best, but it served its purpose. Drew McIntyre is going on to fight Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And as much as I want to see Drew McIntyre win the World Championship, I think the best route to go is to have Damian Priest cash in, because I'm really, really not looking to have the Money in the Bank briefcase go to waste for yet another year. That would be fucking awful. I'm sorry. We need to have Damian Priest cash in. Drew McIntyre, listen. Andrew Galloway, I love you, dude. I think your heel turn's fantastic, and you've been killing it. But WWE, listen, I'm not going to tell you what you got to do, Andrew Galloway. The 4th. I think he's a 4th. It's unbelievable. Guys got 4 generations of Andrew Galloway. It's unbelievable. I'm going to name my son DJ Storms Jr. Drew McIntyre, listen, I think you're great, but I don't think WWE's the place for you anymore, bro. I think you've gone as far as you can go. I would love to see you in another company. He's probably not watching me, but I hope that this makes it to him some way, somehow, because right now, WWE, Drew McIntyre and WWE has kind of run its course. But I would much rather have Damian Priest cash in. I would have Priest cash in on Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, pinning Seth Rollins, because then you tell a great story. You live by the cash-in, and you die by the cash-in. It's a pretty simple, straightforward story, and I think a lot of people would be down for that story to be told. Triple H came out. And Triple H, he announced the attendance record. For the Opus Stadium in Perth, Australia, 52,590. I highly doubt that. I think that they added another 3,000 people. Just pointing it out there. And then the main event. We got ourselves Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley. Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley in the main event of the Elimination Chamber for the WWE Women's World Championship. I'll go over what I need to go over first. And then we'll get into these specifics here. First of all, the match was a lot better than I anticipated. And that much credit I will give. So, Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley. They started off this match. This went about 15 minutes. Ripley tried to use her heavy strikes on Nia early on. We had a body block by Nia and a running senton. Nia then with a headbutt. Leg drop to the back by Nia. She went for a stretch muffler. Rhea Ripley was being bent, twisted, and contorted. Boston Crab. Crowd was actually chanting, "Fuck you, Nia," which was awesome. Nia with a torture rack. Guillotine by Rhea. Rhea then tried to look for an opening. Nia with some deadlift power bombs and a leg drop to the back for a 2 count. Nia was then hung in a tree of woe. Ripley with a slingshot double stomp. Missile drop kick for a 2 count. Nia then with a Samoan drop. She went for a leg drop, but she missed. Rhea Ripley then had Nia Jax up. And Nia Jax countered Rhea Ripley and delivered a Samoan drop from the middle rope. That got a 2 count. Nia then went for the Annihilator, but Nia was caught in an electric chair forward drop. She went headfirst onto the turnbuckle. Rhea Ripley then went up. Frog Splash connected for a 2 count. Ripley then tripped up Nia on the apron. Rhea Ripley tore apart the table. Rhea Ripley was dropped on the table with a Samoan drop, but it did not break. Nia then went up on Corey Graves' announce chair and delivered an elbow drop off the announce chair through the table on Rhea, and Rhea was knocked out for the time being. Nia then threw Rhea back into the ring, delivered the Annihilator, and Rhea kicked out. Rhea kicked out to a decent little pop. Rhea then delivered a superplex on Nia, roundhouse kick to the head, and a riptide, and Rhea Ripley retains the Women's Championship. I'll get the positives out of the way first because, listen, there are some positives. Positive number 1, this match was a lot better than I anticipated, and a lot better than a lot of people have anticipated. Matter of fact, I would go so far as to say that this was probably the best match of Nia Jax's life. And again, I got to give Nia Jax credit. In recent weeks, at least since the start of the year, Nia Jax has not been that bad. Nia Jax, this has probably been the most tolerable that Nia Jax has been. And I have not had a single issue with Nia Jax on TV. I haven't. I can't sit here and say that I hate Nia Jax being on TV. She hasn't done anything to really set anything into disarray. She hasn't injured anyone. She's gone out there and she's worked. I have to give credit where credit's due. I appreciate her going out there and trying to be better. And it also goes to show you how good Rhea Ripley is. And it did what it needed to do. It served its purpose. It gave Rhea Ripley something to do in her home country. It was a decent women's match, and that was it. That was it. Now, the negatives to this. I don't give a fuck what anyone's going to try and pull on me or what kind of excuses you want to pull out of your fat asses. This match should not have main evented the show. I don't care what you want to say. I don't care how you want to spin it to me. I don't care what type of fucking homecoming narratives or homegirl agendas you want to pull on me. Do not give me that bullshit. Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax should not have main evented the Elimination Chamber. Do you know why? Because this match was not the best possible match to main event the show. World titles, men's world titles, always main event the show. And if you can't get a men's world title to main event the show, then you main event the show with the best possible match. You were better off main eventing the show with the women's Elimination Chamber match because at least that would have fit true to the name of the pay-per-view. But this match with Nia and Rhea Ripley, even though it wasn't bad, even though it was decent, this was a Monday Night Raw match on a pay-per-view in front of 50,000 people with an announce table spot. This was not worthy of the main event slot. I'm sorry that pisses you off, but in the end, those are the facts. Facts are facts, and facts I spit. You know why? Because I said it once, I'll say it again. There is absolutely nobody, and I mean absolutely fucking nobody that can do what I do at the level that I fucking do, bar no one. And it's about time that y'all start recognizing that. This was not main event worthy. It was a decent women's match, a decent 15-minute women's match. It was the best match of Nia Jax's life, but it was not main event worthy. I have no problem with Rhea Ripley wrestling in her home country. I have no problem with her having a big homecoming celebration, but this match should not have main evented. Rhea's earned it. Nia has not. Nia Jax may have gotten better, but she is not a main event level talent. If this was Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, then the main event would have been suitable. If this was Rhea Ripley versus a Bayley, then the main event would have been suitable. If this was Rhea Ripley versus a Becky Lynch, then the main event would have been suitable. If this was Rhea Ripley versus a Charlotte Flair, if this was Rhea Ripley versus an Asuka, if this was Rhea Ripley versus an Io Sky, if this was Rhea Ripley versus a Kairi Sane, those would have been suitable. Nia Jax is not suitable for the main events. They should have swapped the last two matches. You should have gone with Nia and Rhea after the Grayson Waller effect, and then you should have main evented with the men's chamber, because A, that would have been true to the pay-per-view name, and B, that was probably the best match on the show. Give or take, you can debate that between the men's chamber and the women's chamber. Either way, both of those matches were better than Nia and Rhea. Matter of fact, 3 out of the 5 of those matches, the only match that Rhea and Nia was better than was the pre-show match. That was the only match that Rhea and Nia was better than. That to you is worthy of being in the main event slot. I'm sorry. That don't fly. That don't fucking fly. Doesn't matter how you want to twist it. The match should not have main evented the chamber. Now, did that bring the chamber down? No. No, that didn't bring the chamber down because it was a decent match. And I will give credit where credit's due. It was a decent match, served its purpose. It got Rhea Ripley a big moment in front of her home country, and it gave Rhea Ripley another challenger for her to beat en route to beating Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. And in the end, if that is all that it was, then fine. I'll be over it by tomorrow, no problem. But it just shouldn't have main evented. But overall, the Elimination Chamber was a very good overall show compared to the Royal Rumble. And matter of fact, I will even go so far as to say this was the first time all year in the last 7 weeks, soon to be 8 weeks, in the last 7, soon to be 8 weeks of 2024, this was the first time that I've legitimately felt, okay, now we feel like we're in WrestleMania season. Because the last 2 months, WWE has just been coasting by, and I've called them out on it. But right now genuinely feels like we're in WrestleMania season. The card is starting to come together. We have a clear direction of where they're going. Everything is starting to piece together quite nicely. And if they play their cards right, we're going to be in for one hell of a 2-night event. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into the stream. You guys are awesome. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. It is always a pleasure, and we have plenty, and I mean plenty more to come, and I genuinely hope that you guys are ready for even more DJ Storms, because we are going to be having the rundown for Revolution next Thursday with my good friend Jessica Renee, and then we're going to have the rewind for Revolution on Monday, March 4th at 2 p.m. It is going to be a very fun time, to say the least, and we are going to be talking about all the happenings going down on Sunday, March 3rd. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all those links in the description. I will be posting shorts throughout the week. So if you guys are interested in the shorts, please go show me some love on YouTube Shorts as well whenever I post these shorts. Till next time, ladies and gents, my name is DJ Storms, and this has been The Rewind. But before we get out of here, there's a very important question that all must answer, and I want you to tell me, baby. I want you to say it loud and say it proud. Who runs the IWC? Oh, I'm gonna tell ya who runs the IWC. Who but DJ motherfucking Storms. And don't you ever forget it.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.